On the third day of a high-profile federal trial against hip-hop mogul Diddy Combs, the atmosphere in the courtroom was unlike anything seen before. Journalists scrambled for seats, celebrities slipped in quietly through side doors, and legal teams prepared their materials with practiced precision. But beneath the usual hustle of a celebrity trial, something felt distinctly different, electric, even tense. Security was noticeably tighter, with twice the usual number of officers stationed around the courtroom, 4 of them positioned directly behind Diddy's table. The reason for this increased security remained a secret, but insiders hinted at a bombshell piece of evidence about to be revealed. Diddy entered the courtroom as calm and composed as ever, wearing a tailored navy suit and flashing his trademark smile to supporters in the gallery. Surrounded by his legal team, he appeared confident, as if certain the trial would unfold in his favor. Yet, unbeknownst to him, the prosecution was preparing to deliver a blow that would crack his carefully maintained facade. Tension grew palpable as 2 technical specialists quietly set up unfamiliar equipment near the prosecution's table. The lead prosecutor's frequent glances at Diddy suggested anticipation. Something significant was coming. Rumors buzzed throughout the courtroom. Reporters exchanged texts speculating about the evidence the prosecution might unveil. Then, the judge entered and issued an unusual warning, demanding complete composure regardless of the evidence presented and threatening immediate removal for any disruptions. Courtroom held its collective breath. After reviewing testimony and evidence from previous days in a routine manner, the prosecution suddenly halted mid-sentence. The lead prosecutor requested permission to present newly authenticated audio evidence, something no one had anticipated. Despite immediate objections from the defense about improper notification, the judge ruled in favor of allowing the evidence, and the room fell silent in anticipation. What followed was unprecedented. The prosecutor announced that the audio was the final private recording made by the legendary Prince Rogers Nelson before his death in 2016. The courtroom froze. Journalists stopped typing. The very notion of hearing Prince's voice in a legal proceeding was surreal, a ghostly testimony from beyond the grave. Diddy's lead attorney grabbed his client's arm in a desperate attempt to maintain control, but the color drained from Diddy's face visibly as the recording began. Prince's voice came through the speakers, low, secretive, and deeply worried. This was no stage performance. It was Prince at his most vulnerable, speaking candidly about his fears and observations in the music industry. The recording was made as a form of insurance, a way to document firsthand what Prince had witnessed, particularly concerning Diddy. Prince detailed parties held at Diddy's homes in the Hamptons and Miami, parties that previous witnesses had described. His words painted a disturbing picture of events that were not just immoral but criminal. Diddy's confident demeanor crumbled before everyone's eyes. His eyes widened, his face ashen, his hands trembling slightly. His legal team huddled frantically, whispering strategies, but the damage was already done. Prince named names, dates, and locations with chilling specificity, describing how young artists were manipulated and trapped in dangerous situations at these lavish gatherings. The details matched the prosecution's case with unassailable precision. The room was silent except for Prince's voice, and even the judge leaned forward, captivated. Prince recalled confronting Diddy at a Grammy after-party in 2016, warning him the behavior had to stop. Diddy's dismissive laughter in response was a stark warning in itself. More shockingly, Prince revealed financial transactions he had observed, payments made to silence victims, backed by non-disclosure agreements that prosecutors had already introduced as evidence. This wasn't just gossip or hearsay. This was detailed insider knowledge from one of music's most meticulous minds. Prince's tone grew somber as he explained his fear of speaking out publicly, knowing the power structures in the industry would protect figures like Diddy. The recording ended with a chilling plea. If anything happened to him, the evidence must reach the right people, not just for his own protection but to protect those who had yet to speak up. Courtroom remained motionless after the recording ended. No one whispered or shifted in their seats. The prosecution had achieved something extraordinary. They had turned Prince into their star witness from beyond the grave. The lead prosecutor stood and said simply, "No further questions, Your Honor." needing no further words to emphasize the impact of what had just been heard. Prosecution's strategy was clear in hindsight. They had waited for the perfect moment, letting Diddy relax into a false sense of security before revealing the recording that would dismantle his carefully constructed image. Diddy had spent the previous 2 days maintaining an unshakable calm even as accusers pointed fingers and damaging photos surfaced. But Prince's voice shattered that calm completely. As the recording continued, Diddy's reaction grew more erratic. When Prince described a specific private gathering at a Beverly Hills property on March 9, 2016, Diddy abruptly stood, triggering a swift security response. His attorneys desperately tried to restrain him, but he was visibly panicked. When Prince accused him directly, Diddy erupted with an outburst, shouting, "That's a lie!" His voice echoed through the courtroom, startling reporters and spectators alike. The judge immediately intervened, commanding order and warning Diddy to control himself or face contempt charges. Despite the outburst, Prince's voice continued, exposing a systematic manipulation of young artists at Diddy's parties. Prince described how attendees arrived hoping for a break in their careers but ended up trapped in exploitative situations. He even detailed financial transactions meant to buy silence, casting a harsh light on the darker side of the music industry's glittering surface. Meanwhile, the defense attempted to portray Cassie Ventura, one of the witnesses, as a willing and enthusiastic participant in the so-called freak-offs, explicit sexual encounters central to the charges. They confronted her with dozens of her own text messages, hoping to convince the jury that the encounters were consensual. But the timeline complicated their narrative. Many of these messages dated back to 2009, early in their relationship, a time when Cassie was young and starstruck. Observers noted the jury's close attention to her testimony and their frequent note-taking, signaling the importance of her statements. Emotional moments extended beyond the courtroom. As children related to the case exited, 2 young girls were seen crying, underscoring the human cost behind the headlines. The trial wasn't just about celebrity scandal, it was about real people dealing with trauma and betrayal. The defense also tried to argue that Cassie had relationships with other celebrities like Michael B. Jordan and Kid Cudi, to show that her interactions with Diddy were not controlling or exclusive. Prosecutors countered by highlighting evidence of jealousy and possessiveness on both sides, painting a picture of a complex, tumultuous relationship fueled by love, jealousy, and manipulation. Throughout the proceedings, other celebrity names surfaced, including Chris Brown and rumors involving Justin Bieber. However, sources close to the trial dismissed claims that Bieber was a victim, emphasizing that many celebrities preferred to distance themselves from the scandal entirely. No one wanted to be publicly linked to Diddy's private parties or the alleged misconduct associated with them. Back in the courtroom, the prosecution resumed playing Prince's recording after restoring order. The revelations became even more specific and damning. Prince's systematic documentation from 2007 onward painted a picture of premeditated exploitation. He described how Diddy would isolate young artists, separating them from their teams to create situations they couldn't refuse. These weren't spontaneous parties, they were calculated events designed to exert control. Legal experts watching noted the significance of Prince's meticulous record-keeping. Dates, times, attendees, and locations matched other evidence, lending the prosecution a nearly unassailable case. Prince's documentation was more than personal observations. It was a strategic effort to expose abuse within the industry's power structures. Courtroom remained hushed as Prince recounted financial payoffs intended to keep victims silent, with sums matching the prosecution's earlier evidence. He also revealed his fear for his own safety, noting the threats he perceived from those in power. The recording ended on a haunting note, emphasizing the stakes. This was about more than Prince himself. It was about protecting those who had been silenced for too long. This unprecedented testimony from beyond the grave fundamentally altered the course of the trial. It humanized the victims, exposed the systemic nature of the abuses, and shattered the veneer of invincibility around one of music's most powerful figures. For Diddy, the recording was a devastating blow, one that transformed the courtroom from a battleground of legal arguments into a stage for revealing hidden truths long buried behind celebrity and privilege. The trial continues, but day 3 will be remembered as the moment Prince's voice echoed through the courtroom, breaking the silence and shaking Hollywood to its core.